Hello guys, my name is Diego Pacheco and today we will talk about estimates. So pretty much everybody needs to deal with some kind of estimates, and the first question that I want to address is why we need to worry about estimates. So basically, someone's paying for something. It could be by directly to have some software which is done, or could be by some task, or ideally could be based on some outcome or impact, right? And the good impact often means reducing cost and increasing revenue. So sometimes this is translated to a task, which could mean get this login form done, or update something on the database, or develop new backend, or migrate some code from Java to Rust or something like that. So because we are doing a task, all right, in the end of the day, or a collection of tasks, someone often who is sponsoring or is a key stakeholder wants to know how much it costs and when will be done. So no matter how much mature you are or how much lean and agile you are, these questions will always be on the table. So um, it's very hard to completely um, remove estimates from the game, but it's possible to reduce the blast radius and make them more manageable. Okay, so why they don't work? Often for several reasons, but first of all, uh, people are basically guessing things, right? And there are lots of assumptions behind estimates, and often these assumptions does not come true, and then this creates all sorts of bottlenecks and dependencies, right? And there are several anti-patterns, like you have someone who is doing the estimates, not the person or the engineer who is delivering the work, or you have estimates that by nature are super optimist. In reality, there are studies that say that every engineer in general could be at least I don't know, 25% under or overestimate at least. So really, we have poor skills when we need to guess things. So another reason why things get wrong is because we often do estimates too early. So there's something called uncertain cone. So in the beginning of the project, you have so much variation that you're not in position to estimate. You might say, oh, but now my project is supposed to be a 5-year project and I'm year 4, so I should be able to estimate. Wrong, because even if you're in a 4, probably the thing that you're starting is day 1, right? So the other 4 years that you spend doing something else, they don't have correlation with your activity. So it's not like, oh, if it passed 3 years, after 3 years you're going to be able to estimate anything, right? Well, it depends, and we're going to talk more about that later on. All right, so basically that estimates wrong because you have people estimating that are not really the ones doing the job. There are lots of assumptions, there are lots of bottlenecks and dependencies. And something else is, like, when you estimate, you often do not estimate for learnings, all right, or for dependencies that you're going to have with other work streams, and that often make things slower, right? The biggest player on estimates is variation. It's something that nobody's acknowledged, all right? So imagine that you're gonna drive every day from your house to your work, and that will take like 25 minutes, or and it's 30 minutes distance. So you easily can say, okay, it's a 30 minutes distance, it's like 30 kilometers, the traffic is stable, I can get there in 30 minutes, right? But then you cannot estimate like a crash. You cannot estimate something like a COVID-19, all right, a black swan event. So what happens is there's lots of variations, and by nature, everything we do, we tend to be more distributed, have more teams, which means more coordination, and that orchestration has a price, and often none of the methods are taking or care of that properly, or paying proper attention to the effort that you need to do on coordination and orchestration. And so you have all sorts of bottlenecks because of the variation. And variation can be created not only by dependencies, but someone gets sick, or there's a new technology you need to learn, or there's a new business module, there's a new persona, something new was discovered, or there's this black swan event like COVID-19, or government law changes. So there are several sources of variations, and these sources are never estimated, right? And even if you estimate, it's hard to estimate and it's hard to retrofit. But by nature, all the estimates, they are super positive. They're super not taking account the variation will happen. That's why they broken all the time. So it's very hard to get it right, because of the complexity and because of the assumptions and the variated behind it, right? So how can we do better? So simple things like, first of all, you let people who is doing the work to estimate, right? If you're not doing the work, do not estimate. Secondly, try to be as small as possible. If you are working with small items like stories of one day, a couple of hours will be much easier to estimate harder than longer days, because longer tests probably gonna have more assumptions, more things, more surprise, more variations, and more chance to get it wrong, right? So one way you can do better is try to estimate stories of one day, right? 8 hours stories, and you might say, oh, but that's a kind of estimate. Well, if you assume if all your stories are 8 hours, you're not really estimating, right? So you're trying to size things in the same size. It's like trying to fit all boxes in a common box size. You might say, oh, but I have a box that's too big. No problem, break that box in more boxes. So the thing that you want to do is, do you want to try to slice and dice things in stories to be on the same size, or do you want to try to guess all the tasks, all the stories that you have with multiple people? Probably going to get it wrong. So an interesting Kanban and no estimate approach is about trying to get things on the same size. Even doing that, you can get it wrong, and even doing that, you're gonna have variation. So there's no solution against variation, and you need to mind that variation in some point is really good, because it means that you are innovating, right? That you are alive, that you're thinking about new technologies, new business capabilities, new and better user experience, right? If you are not adding variation, probably means that you are getting your estimate is totally right, because you're using the same solution and you're not innovating, you're not, tackling new uses, new users, new business segments, right? So you really could be harassing your business by doing that. So you actually, in some sense, you want to get variation, right? Which means that you are doing innovation, which is good, all right? So some interesting references for you. I recommend you to read The Man, Mythical Mouth by Frederick Brooks. It's a 1975 book, really good. There is the Steve McConnell, Demystifying the Black Art. It's a very good book about estimates, and the No Estimates as well. It's a very recent Vasco Duarte book. It's really good, right? So I hope you guys like it. Take care. Cheers.